Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be a new episode of new makeup releases, must or bust. In this video, I'm going to be going through some of my favorite Instagram accounts that share all kinds of beauty news and upcoming makeup releases and let you know my thoughts on those upcoming releases and see how they're threatening my monthly budget. I want to give credit, of course, to the Instagram accounts that I use. They are Beauty News Official, Chic Profile Official, Hotfire.makeup, Makeup Crazy, Makeup World News, Sincerely Brittany, as well as Trend Mood 1. I'm going to leave all their Instagram accounts linked in the description box down below in case you'd like to give them a follow and keep track of new makeup releases yourself. Before we start, if you're new here, I'm Jody. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you're going to enjoy this one and hit that subscribe button so you can join my makeup family and join me for a future video. Thank you to my returning subscribers. I really appreciate your continued love and support on my channel, and I want to give a special thank you to the first 5 commenters on my previous video. Those that have YouTube channels will have the YouTube logo and be linked down below as well in case you'd like to support my YouTube friends. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and look at some of these new makeup releases. All right, so the first item that I'm seeing here is that Melt Cosmetics is going to relaunch their Blueprint stack as an eyeshadow palette. They've recently been reformulating all of their stacks into more traditional eyeshadow palettes. I guess they're phasing out their stacks, which is a shame because I thought it was something unique to their brand. However, I understand that it's a little bit bulky and cumbersome to use pretty much single eyeshadows as opposed to a single palette. So the Blueprint stack was actually an existing stack, which was the first time that each pan had a split pan with 2 different shades in it. And so since that was a 4 shadow stack, that would mean 8 eyeshadows. And looking at this eyeshadow palette, it's specifically 8 eyeshadows. So my personal guess is that it's going to be the exact same 8 shadows that were in the stack. I personally already own that eyeshadow stack, and so I don't need to make the investment into the specific palette for repeat shades. I've done it in the past when they've expanded on the existing stack, like for example the Rust palette, which is what I'm wearing on my eyes incidentally. They added new shades to that stack, and so I went ahead and I invested in the palette. But for this Blueprint one, there's absolutely no reason why I should need to make that purchase. So this is going to be a pass. The next thing is going to be something from MAC, and this is an eyeshadow palette that is a limited edition palette with the Sims packaging. Oh, MAC. I love MAC as a brand. They have fantastic products, but the things that they do sometimes really just I just don't understand. Basically, this is going to come in a blue outer packaging that is labeled with The Sims. And then the eyeshadow palette that's inside has no specific marking that I can see. And it's an eyeshadow palette that already exists. It's going to retail for $39. So let me see. It's going to be the Solar Glow ×9. So apparently that's a palette that already exists in their collection. These are just neutral shades. It's MAC eyeshadows. If I were going to invest in MAC eyeshadows, it's going to be on the single shadows with those special finishes. The ×9 formula is actually highly praised and is probably really good quality. However, I have these tones in the Glam palette. I have several neutral palettes like this. I have no need for this. And honestly, like if you're not going to keep that outer box, there's going to be nothing in this launch that's going to be unique to The Sims. So this is an easy pass. The next item that I'm seeing is from Dior. Now, I appreciate Dior as a luxury brand, but I'm still mad at them about what happened last time. I still haven't gotten my refund. And this is something that they're launching for spring. It is the Dior Forever Skin Veil with SPF 20 and a cushion powder that comes in 5 shades. 5 shades. I'm not seeing actual images of the shade range here, but I'm not interested in a foundation that only comes in 5 shades. I don't know if this is one of those situations where it's very light coverage, where one shade is expected to span a larger range, but I have no interest in this. Also, the prices are quoted in pounds, which tells me that probably this is only available at Selfridges right now. I do have the shipping plan with Selfridges, but honestly, this isn't threatening my beauty budget in the least. Easy pass. Next, there's a collection for Lunar Beauty. There's a lot of that going around right now, and this one is by Gucci Beauty, and they are the Lunar New Year satin lipsticks, and they come in 3 shades, and I will admit the middle shade, that brown one, which is 505 Janet Rust, it looks really, really pretty. That shade looks gorgeous. Now, I don't have any of the Gucci lipsticks in the satin finish, but I do have one in the matte finish. And even though I love the color, it's a beautiful color. I love the formula as well. It's so highly fragranced that it's actually a little bit irritating. I don't wear it as much as I would like because the fragrance kind of bothers me. It's sitting on my lips and so I can smell it all day long. And so I can't say I would get enough use out of these lipsticks to rationalize making that purchase. Yet another pass. Here's something by Becca Cosmetics. So let's see, this is the new Light Shifter collection. And they are the Becca Light Shifter Doing Tint. It's $30, available in 8 shades. And then there is a Light Shifter Finishing Veil available in 6 shades. It's funny, it's called a finishing veil, but then the description says it's a weightless setting powder. Interesting. The last foundation I tried by Becca was the Skin Love foundation, and it was horrible on me. It separated, it looked dry. I absolutely hated that foundation. Interestingly enough, it looked great on my daughter. She loves it, but I don't like it. And so honestly, this is an easy pass. I would have been more curious about that powder if it had been marketed as a finishing powder because I love a final buff on my makeup routine, but it isn't, and that one is said to retail for $34. I do like the shade range of the finishing powder though, or the finishing veil. I think that actually looks quite good, but nothing here that's making me all hot and bothered. Colourpop has a new launch. Of course, Colourpop has to be in all of these videos since they have very frequent launches. On January 7th, they are launching their new Love Struck collection. They're little mini palettes. They look like the Natasha Denona mini palettes. There's 5 pans and it's a mixture of mattes and shimmers. However, all of them except for one, the one called Amor, are pretty much neutrals, whether they are warm neutrals, or cool neutrals. Amor is more in the purpley pink range, but honestly, within my Colourpop collection, I already have these shades, and along the lines of my Operation Curation, I really can't think of any eyeshadow palette I would immediately declutter to replace with one of these, and so this is going to be a pass. It's also an interesting price point because these are $10 for 5 eyeshadows, and they usually sell their, I think it's 12 pan eyeshadows or 9 pan eyeshadows. I think they're 9 pan, the monochromatic eyeshadow palettes. They're about $12, right? So you're getting less product here. I see that these also have the square pans similar to that Fade into Hue palette that they were releasing. So I don't know if they're switching to square pans now. They look very pretty, but it's not anything I need. All right, here's something really interesting. This is by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it's a whole collection. It looks like it's going to be a brow product, which I have plenty of brow products. There is a highlighter in the shade Iced Out, which is $34, and this one looks a lot like the Resi highlighter. It says it's a universal shade, but to be honest, in the pan, it looks quite icy, and the name would indicate that as well. And then there's also going to be 2 glosses. If there was anything that was going to intrigue me from this line, it would be the highlighter because the ABHM Resi highlighter is really, really beautiful. So I'll kind of leave this one on the back burner, something that I'm curious about, but probably I will wait for reviews on this one. It's not something that I necessarily want to invest in to review myself, and so we'll just call this one a maybe. Next, we have something from Hourglass, and this sparked a lot of conversation online. Even I was part of this discussion online. This is the Hourglass. It's an ambient lighting palette, so it's one of the trios of ambient lighting powders. It's an extension. It's going to retail for $64. Now, it took some time before the shades were actually revealed, and it turns out that the shades in this palette are already existing shades in other ambient lighting palettes. For instance, 2 of the shades are inside the quad from the holiday collection, which of course was a repeat from last year's holiday collection, and that's why I returned that quad. And then one of the shades in here is Radiant Light, which is in the existing ambient lighting trio, and one that I actually have as a single. So in general, to use these as finishing powders, in the marketing images, they show a beautiful woman of color using the palette, which I think is a step in the right direction, especially since this palette was curated with deeper shades. However, some of those shades are marketed as bronzers in other palettes and not ambient lighting powders. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. Number one, if you have any Hourglass palettes, you probably don't need it because you're probably going to have these already. But maybe it's a tiny step in the right direction. I don't know. I personally, I'm not going to be picking it up because, like I said, I'm going to have all 3 of these shades already. I don't appreciate the repeated shades. If it was going to be an ambient lighting palette volume 2, then it should have been all new shades. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comment section down below. I've been chatting back and forth with people on Instagram about this one, and it's just, I don't know. It's a pass. The next set of products is the first purchase I made with my January budget, and that is from e.l.f. So they came out with an entire mint collection. I think they're kind of trying to ride the popularity of that little green mini eyeshadow palette that they have, because they're releasing 2 palettes here. One is called Mint to Be, one is called Chocolate Mint, and I did purchase both of them. So they're $4 a piece, which is a good amount, but there's other items here. It looks like some eyeshadow sticks, some lip glosses, primer, a mask, cleansers, a cleansing cloud, and a brush trio. Personally, I just picked up the 2 little mini palettes, and then I threw a couple of other things in my cart because, you know, free shipping. It ended up being like a little bit over $18, so this is something you're going to be seeing in my January budget. I think it's a pretty collection. Did I really need it? Not really, but did I impulse buy it? I certainly did. And now I have to think about 2 palettes that I'm willing to relinquish in my existing collection to make room for these. Here's something from BH Cosmetics, and BH Cosmetics is a brand that has kind of made it back on my radar. I made it a point to purchase the Blueberry Muffin palette as well as some of those Sweet Shop palettes back in December, which we'll be seeing in my December haul. And their quality is actually quite good. I mean, at the price point, you really can't beat it. And the color stories on the palettes that I selected were different. They were a little bit unique. Now they are coming out with what is now their Birthstone collection. And they have recently released the Garnet palette. So before they were doing the astrology collection, and they had those horribly curated mini palettes that were inspired by star signs apparently. And I guess now we're moving on to birthstones. Overall, the palette, I mean, it looks okay. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a blush. Let me see. No, I think it's just an eyeshadow palette. It's $9, which is not too bad. The packaging looks like it's going to be fairly compact, which is something that I like. Mini palettes are becoming more popular now, but my best friend is a Garnet. This isn't moving me, so moving right along. At least we can expect to see 11 more of these palettes for the rest of the year. Here's something new from NARS. This is the Air Necessities collection, and it's got some air matte lipsticks, which remind me a lot, just from looking at them. They kind of give me the vibes of the Rare Beauty Velvet Mousse lipsticks, which I personally really enjoy. I have 3 of those in my collection. I think it's a really nice formula. And there's also cream blushes, which are really, really pretty. They, of course, include Orgasm along with a couple of other shades, but there's some really, really pretty ones there. I especially like the shade Torch and Gasp. They look really nice. When Ulta had their Diamond Day where they were going to give you, what was the gift this time around? It was a Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. This is what I was tempted to purchase, especially because if you purchased a lip product, then you were going to receive, I think it was a Lime Crime lip gloss. I was tempted to pick up something from this collection to make that $25 threshold to earn those gifts. But then I really thought about that gift and I'm like, okay, it's a mascara that I've tried. I have a couple in my collection already. I definitely have a lot of samples of that floating around as well. So then I thought, no, I can definitely wait on this. I have other cream blushes that I have yet to use in my collection. And I do have the NARS liquid blushes as well that I am yet to try. So I was very, very good and I passed. But I was tempted. This is really pretty. The next thing is from Pat McGrath, and she released a lip kit, and this was, so I think this was also in celebration of Lunar New Year, but I'm not exactly sure. And these were basically reds, and there was a red lip liner and a red lipstick. I do love her lipstick formula. I think it's really pretty. I do like that this is the black packaging and then it has that heart. But I was really relieved when I saw that it was just the lip kit because I knew that it was something I was going to be able to pass on. Pat McGrath Labs is one of those brands that's really, really difficult for me to resist, but in this specific case, I was able to release just fine. So apparently this is an existing lip liner in the shade Bloodlust, and then the lip color is a brand new shade, which is Elson 3. So at least it's not re-promoted items. And if you like red lipsticks, then maybe this is one that you will enjoy. But for me, it's a pass. This is something that's going to threaten my beauty budget. And this is by Rare Beauty. So she just released what she is calling the Stay Vulnerable collection, and it's basically a monochromatic look where you can buy a cream blush that's in a pot, a glossy lip balm, or a liquid eyeshadow. So here's the thing about this. I don't doubt that you can take her existing blushes, the ones that are in the little bottles, and use those on your eyes and lips as well to achieve the monochromatic feel that this is going to have. In addition to that, this gives me M Cosmetics vibes for sure. I do like the look of the blushes. The compacts are really cute. They look like a little oyster shell, I think. Let's see the prices. So the blushes are $21, the lip balms are $18, and the eyeshadows are $20, and they are basically all in coordinating shades. Now, I don't understand why you couldn't take the blush and put that on your eyes. Like, why would you need the separate eyeshadow? You can achieve the monochromatic look with that, and you can probably take her existing blushes and do the exact same thing. I even saw a lot of people take the blushes and apply them to their lips a little bit. So even though I think the collection is really, really cute, and I like the theme behind it, it's really pretty, I will admit I can see myself picking up one of those blushes, but the rest of the products are an easy pass for the time being. I have been generally impressed with what Rare Beauty has released. Let's just throw one more in the mix. And so the last thing that I wanted to mention is by Milani, and this is the Gilded Terra palette. And I'm sure you can guess what got me with this palette. It retails for $19.99, 15 shades, 6 matte, 7 shimmers, 1 metallic. And what I loved about it are the greens. It's a really nice palette. You can definitely do a mixture of looks with this one, and the Milani formula has been really nice, but I have the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I have the large Natasha Denona Green Brown palette, and I can't imagine that I would love the shades or color story in this palette more than I love those. So for that reason, I was able to pass on this palette when I reminded myself of my 1 in, 1 out rule. I should have thought about that before I pulled the trigger on the e.l.f. palettes, but those were like a special launch on their website for, you know, their mailing list members or whatever. Ugh. I don't regret it. They're cute little palettes, and I think I got a brush and one other thing that I can't remember from e.l.f. So you'll see it in my January haul. Overall, I feel I'm doing good. I'm staying strong. This was almost an anti-haul. Almost an anti-haul. Maybe next time. So those are all the products that I wanted to talk about in today's video. Please let me know in the comment section down below if any of these are threatening your low buy or your no buy if you happen to be on one this year like I am. The ones that put me on the danger zone were the Rare Beauty and the NARS, for sure. My guess is eventually I will invest on those, but for the time being I'm holding strong, and I just made the investment on the e.l.f. palettes. That's everything from me today. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on any of these makeup releases, then make sure and tag me on my Instagram. You can find me at Personal Beauty Lab on Instagram, and I can include whatever makeup sneak peeks you find in an upcoming video. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon on my next one. Bye-bye.